Humanity's exodus and the denobulan threat. The stars twinkled in the vast expanse of space, a canvas of endless possibilities that beckoned humanity to explore the unknown. Centuries of war and strife on Earth had driven the human race to seek a new home among the stars, a chance to start anew and forge a brighter future. And so they fled, their ships carrying the remnants of a once proud civilization, their hearts filled with a glimmer of hope. The colony on Kepler 186 was a testament to humanity's resilience and determination. Tucked away in a distant corner of the galaxy, the lush, Earth-like planet offered a chance for a new beginning. The humans toiled tirelessly, building settlements, cultivating the land, and forging a vibrant community that thrived in the embrace of its alien surroundings. For a time, the colony lived in relative peace, its inhabitants unaware of the gathering storm that lurked beyond their borders. But the Denobulan Empire, a ruthless and expansionist alien race, had set its sights on the human enclave, driven by a thirst for conquest and the desire to subjugate the inferior human species. General Pryor, a seasoned Denobulan commander, led the invasion force with a cold, calculating precision. His orders were clear: crush the human settlement, eliminate any resistance, and secure the colony for the glory of the Denobulan Empire. With an overwhelming numerical advantage and a formidable arsenal of advanced technology, the Denobulans launched their assault, descending upon Kepler 186 like a swarm of deadly predators. The human colonists, caught off guard by the sudden onslaught, fought back with everything they had. Hastily organized militias took up arms, determined to defend their newfound home. But the Denobulan onslaught was relentless, their plasma weapons and armored vehicles carving a path of destruction through the human settlements. Michael Mitchell, a young soldier in the 51st SA Regiment, found himself at the forefront of the desperate battle. As the Denobulan forces pressed their advantage, he and his comrades were forced to fall back, their ammunition dwindling and their numbers dwindling under the aliens' merciless assault. "We can't hold them off much longer," Michael shouted into his comm unit, his voice laced with desperation. "Command, we need reinforcements, or this colony is done for." The reply crackled with static, but the message was clear: reinforcements are not an option. Earth will not let this colony fall. Hold at all costs. Michael gritted his teeth, his knuckles white as he gripped his rifle. This was it, the last stand of the human defenders on Kepler 186F. They were outgunned, outmanned, and running out of time. But the fire in their eyes spoke volumes. They would not surrender, not without a fight. As the Denobulan forces continued their relentless onslaught, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. A sleek, black dropship that hurtled down from the sky, its ramp slamming open to reveal a squad of towering, heavily armored figures. Michael's heart raced as he recognized the distinctive markings of the Praetorian Guard, the elite warriors of the human military. "The Praetorians are here," Michael shouted, his voice ringing with a newfound determination. "On your feet, Marines. Forward, for the glory of Earth." The human defenders surged forward, their weapons blazing as they charged alongside the formidable Praetorians. The alien lines faltered, their confidence shaken by the arrival of these legendary human warriors. The battle raged on, a symphony of plasma fire and the clashing of blades, as the Praetorians carved a path of destruction through the Denobulan ranks. But the invaders were not to be underestimated. As the human forces began to push back the Denobulan assault, a new threat emerged: the Ravagers, colossal war machines that towered over the battlefield, their devastating firepower threatening to turn the tide of the battle. In the face of this new challenge, the human defenders refused to falter. They called upon the might of the UNS Athena, the most powerful warship in the human fleet, to unleash its fury upon the Denobulan forces. The Athena responded with a display of raw firepower, its magnetic accelerator cannons raining down destruction upon the Ravagers, their shields flickering and failing under the barrage. As the Ravagers crumbled, The human forces surged forward, their spirits lifted by the sight of the mighty ship overhead. Michael and the Praetorians fought side by side, their determination fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting not just for their colony, but for the very survival of their species. The battle raged on, a clash of titans that shook the very foundations of Kepler 186 F. But the humans, united and resolute, refused to be broken. They had come too far, sacrificed too much, to surrender now. And as the final Denobulan stronghold fell, the human colonists raised a triumphant cheer, their voices carrying across the devastated landscape. Yet, even in the moment of victory, a growing unease crept into Michael's heart. The Kepler 186 F invasion had been a distraction, a feint to draw the human forces away from their true target, the heavily defended Antis system. With the Denobulan sights set on this strategic prize, the war for humanity's survival was far from over. The 51st stand, and the arrival of the Praetorian Guard. The smoke-choked air of Kepler 186 F hung heavy with the scent of ozone and charred flesh, a bitter reminder of the bloody struggle that had consumed the human colony. Michael Mitchell, his battered body covered in soot and blood, surveyed the devastated landscape, his heart heavy with the weight of the losses they had endured. The 51st SA Regiment, the core of the human defense, had fought with a ferocity that belied their dwindling numbers. Outgunned and outmatched, they had held their ground against the relentless Denobulan onslaught, buying precious time for the human colony to evacuate and regroup. But the cost had been high. Michael's comrades lay scattered across the battlefield, their lifeless eyes staring skyward. He gritted his teeth, his grip tightening on his rifle as he steeled himself for the next wave of the alien assault. Suddenly, a thunderous boom pierced the air, drawing Michael's gaze to the skies above. A sleek, black dropship streaked down, its ramp slamming open to reveal a squad of towering armored figures, the legendary Praetorian Guard, Earth's finest warriors. Michael felt a surge of hope as the Praetorians surged into the fray, their mono-edged blades flashing and their plasma casters unleashing a withering barrage of fire upon the Denobulan lines. The aliens, once confident in their numerical superiority, faltered in the face of this unstoppable force. "Soldiers of Earth, to me." A deep, commanding voice boomed across the battlefield. Michael recognized the speaker as Centurion Hauer, a renowned Praetorian officer. "Today, we show these alien bastards what it means to fight humanity." The human defenders, their spirits lifted by the arrival of the Praetorians, unleashed a deafening roar of defiance. With renewed vigor, they charged alongside the towering warriors, rifles blazing as they pushed back the Denobulan onslaught. Michael fought alongside Hauer, marveling at the Praetorians' sheer strength and speed. They were true transhuman demigods of war, their power armor shrugging off plasma bolts as they carved a path of destruction through the alien ranks. But the Denobulans were not to be underestimated. As the human forces gained ground, a new threat emerged: the Ravagers, colossal war machines bristling with devastating firepower. The towering walkers unleashed a barrage of plasma fire, vaporizing entire squads of soldiers in a single blast. Michael and the Praetorians were sent hurtling through the air by a near miss, their armor scorched and dented. Hauer coughed, his eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. "We need an orbital strike now," he growled. "Those Ravagers will wipe us out if we don't take them down." Across the battlefield, the Praetorians raised their gauntlets, pulsing with targeting lasers as they marked the Ravagers for the Athena's wrath. Michael watched in awe as the mighty warship responded, its magnetic accelerator cannons unleashing a salvo of devastating fire that tore the Ravagers apart, their armor crumbling under the incredible kinetic force. As the Denobulan line faltered, Michael seized the moment, rallying the human defenders to a final decisive charge. The Praetorians, led by the indomitable Hauer, spearheaded the assault, their blades and plasma casters carving a path of destruction through the alien ranks. The Denobulans, their confidence shattered by the loss of their Ravager support, broke and fled in panic. Michael and his comrades surged forward, their voices raised in a thunderous roar of victory. The Athena, its massive bulk blotting out the sun, rained down death upon the retreating aliens, sealing their defeat. But even in the moment of triumph, Michael couldn't shake the growing unease in his gut. The Kepler 186 FF invasion had been a distraction, a feint to draw the human forces away from their true target, the heavily defended Antis system. As Hauer approached, his black armor scorched and dented, Michael knew that the war for humanity's survival was far from over. The Denobulans had shown their hand, and the humans would have to be ready to face their next challenge. "This battle may be won," Hauer said, his voice grim, "but the war is far from over. We must prepare, for the true test lies ahead. The Ravager onslaught and the Athena's intervention." The air shook with the thunderous footsteps of the Denobulan Ravagers as they crested the ridge, their massive frames towering over the battered human defenders. Michael Mitchell felt a chill run down his spine as he gazed up at the colossal war machines, their guns bristling with enough firepower to level a city. The Ravagers had turned the tide of the battle, their devastating firepower shattering the human lines and reducing entire platoons to ash. Michael and the 51st SA Regiment had fought with every ounce of their strength, but they were outmatched and outgunned, their ammunition dwindling and their numbers dwindling. As the Ravagers advanced, Michael clutched his rifle, his knuckles white with the strain. He knew that without reinforcements, they had no chance of holding off the alien onslaught. But the reply from command had been clear. There would be no relief, no rescue. They were on their own. Suddenly, a deafening roar shook the heavens, and Michael's eyes were drawn to the sky. Descending on pillars of fusion fire, the massive bulk of the UNS Athena, Earth's most powerful warship, blotted out the sun. The mighty vessel unleashed a barrage of fire from its point defense railguns, the hypervelocity slugs tearing through the Denobulan ranks with devastating force. Michael felt a surge of hope as the human defenders rallied, their cries of triumph echoing across the battlefield. Hauer and the Praetorian Guard spearheaded the assault, their mono-edged blades flashing as they crashed into the reeling alien line. The Denobulans, their confidence shaken by the arrival of the Athena and the ferocity of the Praetorian onslaught, began to break. Michael and the 51st SA Regiment surged forward, their rifles roaring as they cut down any Xeno still standing. Panic gripped the alien forces, and they fled in disarray, their cries of terror echoing across the battlefield. Michael spotted Hauer carving a path straight to the Denobulan command post, a wild idea sparking in his mind. "Phil, you're with me," he shouted, rallying a squad of his most seasoned soldiers. "We're going to cut the head off this invasion." They sprinted after Hauer, their boots pounding the blood-soaked earth as they closed in on the Denobulan command center. Michael could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, his heart racing with the thrill of the chase. As they breached the command post, Michael and his men swept the room, their rifles trained on any movement. Fallen Denobulans littered the floor, twitching or ominously still. Hauer seized one of the aliens by the throat, his massive gauntlet dwarfing the Xeno's head. "Where's Pryor?" The Praetorian Centurion growled, his voice a deep, rumbling thunder. The Denobulan's eyes rolled in raw panic. "Shuttle bay. Evacuation," it choked out. Hauer's grip tightened, and the alien went limp. Without a word, the Praetorian launched himself through the facility, his jump jets propelling him forward with bone-shaking force. Michael turned to his men, a predatory grin splitting his face. "Secure this room," he ordered. "Looks like this invasion is about to lose its head." In the shuttle bay, General Pryor raced up the ramp of his personal craft, shoving a technician aside as he slammed his fist on the door control. The ramp retracted with a hiss, and Pryor sprinted to the cockpit, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Take off," he screamed at the pilot. "Get us out of here." The shuttle's engines roared to life, and the craft lifted from the deck, its thrusters scorching the bay floor. But just as the Denobulan commander allowed himself a momentary grin of triumph, the bay doors exploded inward with a thunderous boom. Amid the smoke and swirling debris, a hulking figure emerged, Centurion Howard, his black armor scorched and dented, but his determination undimmed. The Praetorian raised his plasmacaster, the barrel blazing red with each shot as he rained fire upon the shuttle's hull. Alarms blared and red lights flashed inside the craft as the Howard's barrage tore gaping holes in the fuselage. The pilot wrestled with the controls, but the shuttle was losing altitude, its engines guttering. Pryor watched in horror as Howard leaped through the air, his jump jets flaring, and slammed into the side of the shuttle. The Praetorian's armored fingers sank into the ragged holes, and with a snarl of effort, he began to tear the craft apart. The shuttle lurched sickeningly, and Pryor staggered, fighting for balance as the deck bucked beneath his feet. The general stumbled to the cockpit, his eyes wild. "Get us out of here," he roared, spittle flying from his lips. The pilot's voice cracked with terror. "I'm trying, but that lunatic is tearing us apart." Pryor opened his mouth to respond, but his words died in his throat as a black gauntleted hand punched through the cockpit canopy. The pilot's agonized scream was whipped away by the wind as Howard seized him and hurled him out into the open air. The Praetorian tore the entire canopy off with a screech of rending metal and leaped into the cockpit. The shuttle nosedived, its engines guttering, and it spiraled toward the earth, trailing thick black smoke and tongues of flame. Moments later, a thunderous boom echoed across the battlefield, and a fireball mushroomed into the sky, staining it the color of blood. In the alien command center, Michael and his men stared out the window, a ragged cheer going up from the human defenders. But Michael's eyes were locked on the burning wreckage, a sudden unease twisting his gut. There was no way, even for a Praetorian in power armor, to survive a crash like that. Before Michael could react, the ground shook with the impact of a towering mechanical form cresting the ridge, wreathed in oily smoke and crackling flame. It was a human battle mech, its scorched black armor and hungry red sigils marking it as the work of a Praetorian. And at the controls was Centurion Howard, his face streaked with blood, but his eyes burning with the fire of righteous vengeance. "Humanity, the Denobulan general is dead," Howard's voice boomed from the mech's external speakers, deep and thunderous enough to rattle bones. "Press the attack. Let none survive." The downfall of General Pryor and the human counterattack. The ground trembled as the massive Praetorian battle mech stomped forward, its towering frame wreathed in oily smoke and crackling flame. Michael Mitchell stared in awe as the machine surged into the fray, its thunderous voice echoing across the battlefield. "Humanity, the Denobulan general is dead," Howard's deep, commanding tone boomed from the mech's external speakers. "Press the attack. Let none survive." Michael felt a surge of renewed vigor coursing through his veins as the battered human forces rallied behind a Praetorian's call to arms. Rifles cracked and plasma bolts hissed as they fell upon the remaining Denobulans with savage abandon. The alien invaders, seeing their leader's shuttle shot down, and a vengeful human mech bearing down on them, completely broke. All discipline and resolve evaporated in an instant, replaced by blind panic and a desperate need to escape the human onslaught. Howard's mech stormed forward, the ground shaking with each titanic footfall. Its guns roared like the voice of an angry god, stitching lines of tracer fire through the routing Denobulans and mowing them down in droves. The mech's giant feet crushed the fallen beneath them, grinding bodies to pulp and cracking the earth. Flames washed over the aliens as Howard saturated the Denobulan backline with gouts of burning promethium from the mech's wrist-mounted flamethrowers. High above, the UNS Athena descended upon the fleeing enemy ships with divine retribution, its Surf-class interceptors and Shrike gunships unleashing a hail of Hellfire missiles and punishing cannon fire. The Denobulan ships scattered in disarray, their once proud vessels burning and falling from the sky, as Earth's fury consumed them. This day belonged to humanity, and the Denobulans were powerless to stop the onslaught. Michael stumbled out of the ruined command center, his eyes stinging from the smoke and the acrid stench of cooked flesh. The carnage surrounding him was a hellscape of twisted metal and broken bodies, a testament to the ferocity of the battle. Howard's battle mech towered over the landscape like a dark god of war, the cockpit hissing open as the Praetorian centurion clambered out. He ignored the medics rushing to tend to him, his armor dented and scorched, and strode over to where Michael stood. "Not now, Mitchell," Howard said, cutting off the young soldier's question with a curt shake of his head. "This battle may be won, but the war is far from over." He pointed to the sky, where the Athena hung in low orbit, an angular mountain of metal and guns. That ship didn't come all this way just to support one ground assault. Howard continued, his face hardening. "There's something else going on." Michael met Howard's gaze, disbelief etched on both their faces. Antis, the heavily defended system on the other side of UN and space, had been the true target all along. The Kepler 186 invasion had been a distraction, a feint to draw their forces away from the real prize. "We played right into their hands," Howard growled, his fists clenching. "Now we have to prepare for what comes next." The human forces, united and resolute, began to regroup, their victory over the Denobulan invaders a testament to their resilience and determination. But as they looked to the skies, they knew that the true challenge was yet to come. The war for humanity's survival was far from over, and they would have to face it with every ounce of their strength. The redemption of humanity and the promise of a new tomorrow. The scorched and battered human forces on Kepler 186 stood amidst the ruins of the Denobulan invasion, their eyes fixed on the majestic form of the UNS Athena as it hung in low orbit. The mighty warship's presence was a symbol of humanity's redemption, a beacon of hope in a galaxy that had long since written them off. Michael Mitchell, his uniform stained with the blood and grime of battle, stood shoulder to shoulder with Centurion Howard, the legendary Praetorian warrior whose unwavering determination had turned the tide of the conflict. They knew that the war was far from over, that the Denobulans had used Kepler 186 as a mere distraction, their true target lying in the heavily defended Antis system. "The Denobulans played us for fools," Howard's deep, rumbling voice cut through the silence. "They lured us away from Antis, hoping to catch us off guard, but they underestimated the resolve of the human spirit." Michael nodded, his expression grim. "We may have won the battle here, but the real fight is yet to come. The Denobulans are going to pay for their arrogance." The human forces, their ranks thinned but their resolve unbroken, began to regroup and prepare for the next stage of the conflict. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with danger, but the memory of their hard-won victory on Kepler 186 fueled their determination. As the Athena's mighty guns fell silent, the human colonists emerged from their shelters, their eyes wide with a mix of awe and relief. They had witnessed the raw power of their species, the unwavering courage of the Praetorian Guard, and the unrelenting fury of Earth's finest warriors. Michael, standing amid the wreckage of the Denobulan invasion, felt a swell of pride in his chest. "We're back," he murmured, his voice tinged with a mixture of reverence and defiance. "Humanity has returned to the galactic stage, and we'll be damned if we let anyone push us back into the shadows." Howard placed a heavy hand on Michael's shoulder, his scared features softening with a rare smile. "This was only the beginning, soldier. The Denobulans may have thought they could crush us, but they've awakened a sleeping giant. From this day forward, the name of Earth will strike fear into the hearts of our enemies." As the human forces began the arduous task of rebuilding their shattered colony, they knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges. But the knowledge that they had faced the might of the Denobulan Empire and emerged victorious filled them with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. The Athena, its imposing silhouette a constant reminder of humanity's power, remained in orbit, a guardian against any future threats that might dare to test the resolve of the human race. And as the colonists looked to the stars, they knew that the future held untold possibilities. A future where humanity would reclaim its rightful place among the stars, forging alliances, exploring the unknown, and proving to the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. The triumph of humanity had only just begun.